We have a massive Sacramento Kings trade update as rumors have been escalating over the past week about a Kings trade coming soon, and now an official report has dropped revealing the Kings are interested in acquiring Robert Williams from the Portland Trail Blazers. And there are other players on the Blazers that could be interesting fits for Sacramento, and they do have the pieces to actually facilitate one of these moves to actually happening. So we're going to break down what this report is saying, how Robert Williams could fit inside of Sacramento's current roster, and why, if players can stay healthy, this could be the right move that Monte McNair can make to really put this Kings team over the top. So lots of stuff to break down in this video, but before we do, folks, again, we are very close to 1,000 subscribers, just 120 off. So make sure if you guys want to stay up to date with everything that's happening with the Sacramento Kings team and you're a part of our viewership that haven't hit the subscribe button just yet, you guys hit that subscribe button. But let's dive into madness, because there has been a ton of chatter, a ton of rumors going on with the Sacramento Kings about trades, and now we have official reports linking the Kings to a Portland Trail Blazers package, because we saw a report come out and drop the other day about Robert Williams being a player that contending teams will be monitoring over the next few months. Williams is averaging 11 points per game, 6.6 rebounds, 1.2 steals, and 1.2 blocks in 20 minutes a game for the Portland Trail Blazers. And Williams is set to make over $25.7 million over the next 2 seasons. So Robert Williams, Time Lord, if you're not familiar, is a guy who used to play for the Boston Celtics and, was traded in that Damian Lillard, Drew Holiday, all those sweepstakes. He was one of the guys to get sent away, and he is a phenomenal defender, a phenomenal, rim protecting big man that can catch lobs, that can do a lot of different things out there. But obviously, if you're not familiar with this game, he's a guy that really struggles staying out there on the court. His health has been his biggest concern, biggest issue, but when he's playing, when he's actually out there, getting minutes, getting run, getting opportunities, he is very effective, especially on the defensive end. And we can take a look at his stats, before we bring up the report, linking the Kings to him. But basically, we saw a look at those numbers, right? And he's shooting some threes this season, which is actually pretty interesting. Not a high sample size, but only 25 years old, or 27 years old, and he's 6'9". So very much one of those forward, the type of depth piece that a lot of Kings fans have really been calling for the Sacramento Kings team to make. And now the Kings have directly expressed interest, as Brett Siegel of Clutch Points has come out and said that out of the 3 big men, Williams is expected to hold the biggest market. The Los Angeles Lakers, the New Orleans Pelicans, as well as the Sacramento Kings have held interest in the Portland Trail Blazers big men dating back into the offseason. So this isn't just some newfound interest. This isn't sort of your run-of-the-mill, like, oh, that guy's back in the lineup, he's back doing his thing. The Kings have had legitimate interest in Robert Williams over the past stretch of time, and it makes a ton of sense, right? Defense and depth, especially at that forward position, because the Kings have a ton of guys out there at the guard role that can really have an impact, that can play a different style of basketball, can do different things out there on the court. And even with Trey Lyles coming back into the mix, coming back healthy, and looking better as of late, obviously, Robert Williams, especially on the defensive end, especially as a lob threat, when there are so many playmakers on this Kings team, with DeMar DeRozan now on the team. You have Malik Monk that can get you some shots. Obviously, De'Aaron Fox, the point guard, the main guy for the squad. Even McLaughlin's shown an ability to be able to run an offense, to come off the bench, and be effective over those stretches for this Kings team when he's been given some opportunity. So, having Robert Williams to take some pressure, to take some load off of Domantas Sabonis, right, out of the front court, especially out there on the defensive end, that is a huge positive if he is able to stay healthy for Sacramento. And obviously, again, that's a risk. That is something you do have to factor in. The Kings have dealt with some injuries over the past week. We did hear reports that DeMar DeRozan's returning tonight against LA Clippers, so that's a huge positive. But Robert Williams, these are the types of moves that if you're Monte McNair, right, you have to make some moves around the edges, because this team is a little bit hamstrung in terms of cap situation, in terms of flexibility. So you have to buy low on some guys. You have to take a couple of risks in order to really round out the roster and really impress some people. So if a deal were to happen, what would it look like? What would the look of a potential deal really look like? And basically, you can get it done for pretty easy, because again, Robert Williams is a buy low candidate right now, given the fact that the Blazers don't really need him. They are in a tough spot negotiating, because they have Donovan Cleaning, they have DeAndre Ayton, all guys that play, Robert Williams' position, which is going to affect the minutes. It's going to affect some stuff, so they are kind of in need to get rid of one of those dudes to make their roster make more sense. And frankly, his value has continuously dropped, because all of last season, the start of this year, he's been dealing with injuries. And when you have a guy that's sort of plagued with all these injuries, you kind of get, when a trade is offered to you, when an opportunity comes up, you got to kind of take it, especially for a Blazers team that can't really miss out on any assets that could come in. Now, I'm not sure 100% on the market, but I wouldn't be shocked if Kevin Huerter or multiple second-round picks could get a deal done for Robert Williams right now, given how low his value has fallen. Again, a protected first might be something you'd be interested in, might be something to go in there. But if I were the Sacramento Kings, if I were Monte McNair, the Kings front office, I'd try to sneak in some extra depth pieces and making one of these moves happen. Because again, the Blazers are trying to bottom out. They're rebuilding. They're in that sort of state where they want to build in some young guys, around Clinton, around Scoot, around Delano Banton, different guys that have been out there on this Blazers team. And basically, I think the Kings could have a way of bringing in some pieces. And again, if you're getting in more spots, bringing in some different guys might require definitely a first-round pick. But adding Matisse Thybulle and Chris Murray still makes the trade available while just sending out Kevin Huerter. And again, we've all talked about adding defense, adding some more versatile wing players, and it's the value of Keon Ellis, right? We're seeing that out there at this point. But if you can add Thybulle, who, yes, is dealing with an injury to start off the season, is supposed to return sometime soon. There hasn't been a lot of clarity, a lot of, honest publication about his injury situation here now with his knee. So, but we know Matisse Thybulle is one of the better defenders out there in the entire NBA. Chris Murray, obviously related to Keegan Murray, that's a little relationship there. And both these guys are very, very solid because, again, we don't have stats for Matisse Thybulle because, again, he hasn't played this year, but Chris Murray in limited run, only 24 years old, averaging 4 points per game, 2.4 rebounds, but shoots 36% behind the three-point line, 36% from corner threes, and just seems like a guy that you can say, hey, he can come out there and just give you some spot minutes, be a role player, maybe, playing with his brother, with the relation stuff like that. There can be a little positive out there in terms of the lineups, a little brotherly boost, in terms of what's going on, and add to the mix. The same way the Morris twins played better when they were all together. So Chris Murray could be an interesting addition, but obviously Matisse Thybulle with his elite defense would be a really nice just addition in terms of versatility that Mike Brown can have with his lineups and to have an impact out there on the court. He's the anti Doug McDermott out there at that point. But giving up Kevin Huerter would be a bit tough. Obviously, a three-point shooter has been inconsistent over the course of the season, and Kings fans have been hoping he would be able to return to form, would be able to return to the level he was producing at on the offensive end, especially in previous seasons. And certain nights you get it, and he still is an impact player for the Kings. But obviously, building up the defense, building up more guys that can really give more versatile lineups, give other teams a different look, right? That's going to be a huge, huge positive for the Kings to try to get one of these deals done. So again, Robert Williams would be an extremely nice acquisition for Sacramento to bolster the defense. And if he could just stay healthy, right? If he could just stay healthy, and that's a big ask out there for Time Lord, who has dealt with injuries going back to his days in Boston. But if he could stay healthy, it's one of those around the edges moves you kind of need for Sacramento to bolster this depth. It's a risk, without a doubt, but you have Keon Ellis to be able to step up if Kevin Huerter were to be going out. I'd be much less comfortable doing a trade like this if Keon Ellis wasn't really showing the level of production that he has shown, in recent weeks, but still very much an interesting report that has come out linking the Kings to Robert Williams. But let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below about a potential Robert Williams trade for the Sacramento Kings. Obviously, the Kings play tonight against the LA Clippers, so we'll check out that game. We'll see how things go, and we'll be back tomorrow. So make sure you guys hit that subscribe button. Again, we're on that road to 1,000 subscribers, so appreciate every single one of you. I'm signing out. Cheers.